Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Manattu Sahaviryankaravavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Bhakti is nothing but love towards God. The love towards God will find very many expressions. Every devotee would experience the devotion in different ways. Few experience God as Father, like Prahalad. Few experience God as beloved, like gopis. Few experience God as master, like Hanuman. Few experience God as the protector, like the elephant Gajendra. So that bhavana will vary from person to person. So there is no standard experience. And it is so interesting to see in what way that person will experience the relationship with God. That varies from person to person. That depends on what. That bhavana remains the same. The bhakti feeling remains the same. But the way in which they experience that will vary. So each devotee has a particular way of seeing God. So what is that factor that determines is the emotional vacuum that is experienced by that person. Now, every individual life experiences a pocket. A particular vacuum would be experienced. Maybe as a friend. Sugriva never had a good friend. So when he saw Rama as a friend. When Hanuman saw Rama, he did not see as a friend. He saw him as different. What is the relationship that you have with God? Those who can identify the particular thing that is missing. Some of them saw as mother. Some of them saw as father. Some of them saw as the Lord. Each one saw them as one. Sudama saw as a friend. See, so each one who feels that missing dimension of that relationship can take that particular aspect and impose that on God. See, that vacuum, what they are missing in life, becomes one of the most effective ways of practicing bhakti. I'm not saying immediately don't go by reverse. This is the mistake everybody will make immediately. You'll go reverse now. What was missed by Gajendra? What was missed by Prahalada? What was missed by Dhruva? What was missed by each one? Don't go reverse. You see, it's not that Arjuna never had any other friend. It's not like that. It's not that Sudama had no other friend. He had only one friend in his life. It's not that way. But of all that relationships, why they choose to relate in a particular way will give an indication for us. That's about it. No, don't immediately start branding those people, branding their relationships, please. It's not to, do. It's a very, a subtle one, very fine. You need tremendous refinement. That's why bhakti is very difficult to relate to. Karma, jnana, you can just go, overboard. It doesn't make any sense. Jnana, you won't even understand anything. Therefore, it doesn't make any difference. Almost it's like, a good intellectual entertainment. Jnana yoga will be like more of intellectual entertainment and you can move away with it. You can get away with it. Similarly, with reference to karma also, you can easily get away with it. But with reference to bhakti, it's very difficult to just, move on. Because it's very close. Why it is so close is vast majority of humanity will fall very emotional about things. So it keeps, difficult to explain bhakti. Very difficult to discourse. Very difficult to explain what bhakti is. One of the difficulties is this. Is because why is it that devotion is same? It's not that, Bhishma's devotion is any less to Prahalada's devotion, Ambarisha's devotion, or Dhruva's devotion, or Hanuman's devotion. All great devotees. Or you take this 9 Mars and Alvars, this bhakti, Kabir or Jnaneshwar and Tukaram, Surdas, those people you take, or this Puranic, characters you take. In terms of their bhakti, there is no same thing. But the way in which they related to God is very different. Surdas related to God in a particular way. Mirabai related to Krishna in a particular way. Now we need to identify why is it that Mirabai never related to Krishna from this angle. How is it that Mirabai's Krishna is eternally youth? How is his Krishna is always Balakrishna, child? He never grows, is it? Why is it so? See, that is where we understand a trick. How do you relate to God? Is you have to locate that particular vacuum in you and allow the divine deities to fill in that gap. Thereby, you gain that emotional stability. The Bhakti Yoga is a practice through which you gain that emotional stability in you. How do you gain that? Because I lack that particular, that emotion needs a proper channelization. It needs a proper fulfillment, direction. When I direct my love towards my beloved, and I take that Lord as a beloved, actually very difficult for us to understand Mirabai, Andal, forget it. This gopis, Andal, Mirabai, Allah. In the current context, humanity is incapable of understanding. It's not possible. You can't connect. Because total perversion only exists. You see, here you get a perverted ideas only comes in here. That's why Mirabai's devotion or Andal's devotion or this gopis' devotion to God, to the same Krishna is very difficult. That's why we are all comfortable with Prahalada's devotion. We are all very comfortable with Prahalada's devotion. We are all very comfortable with Hanuman's devotion to Rama. But this devotion to Krishna is very difficult for us to understand. So we think there is an illicit affair, extramarital affair. This is how it has been taken. Totally lost, this bhakti bhavana, the feeling, how refined you got to be to experience that devotion. It demands high degree of emotional maturity and refinement. When we are not having that degree of maturity and refinement, don't plunge in to understand those bhaktas and their bhakti. That's why he gives 35 qualities to his bhaktas. Experience those 35 qualities. And what you understand today as bhakti is what? Going to some deity, some deity you carry, and you keep going to the temple, you think you are a devotee. You see, emphatically he says, the entire paragraph he dedicates to explain that deity is not God. The deity that you are seeing is not God. This Kenopanishad, he refers to the Kenopanishad there. He repeats it 5 times. The Upanishad emphatically repeats again and again. It attempts to pile drive into our minds, but still where we stand. We listen to all those things and then say what? The deity that you are seeing is God. It is not God, remember. Then what is it? Then what is the deity? Obviously, the deity is supposed to do what? Deity is supposed to grant boons, utility. That's how we go to God's first thing he says is not. That is not God. In bhakti, it demands tremendous amount of discipline and training, he says. Now, bhakti is never understood by us demanding discipline and training. What is discipline and training? Training, the moment you say you need to get trained, what is the implication? Implication of any training is what? Who will go for training? What happens when you go for training? I go for coaching. What is it? Bowling. I wanted to become a bowler. So I go and do bowling coaching. When I'm going for coaching for bowling, all that you have to do is what? Take few steps, run, jump, throw the ball. This is called bowling. This anybody who is capable of physical can do it. But still, what happens there? He says, you got to know how to grip the ball properly. Then he says, you have to know how to land, where to land, which angle you got to hold, how you got to rotate the wrist, how you got to rotate the finger, where you have to take a lead, how you land, how your front leg lands, how your head position is. Everywhere the bowling coach will go on telling what? Wrong. Correct. 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 He will tell you. Again, what you have to do? Take steps. You have to go back and keep running again. Again, you come, run and bowl. Again, he says what? Some other correction, some other correction, some other correction. Training implies what? Making mistakes and correcting. Making mistakes, correcting. Making mistakes, correction. In Bhakti till date, where have you gone through any training like this? Devotion. Is there anyone who had corrected you? Did you ever recognize any mistakes that you have committed? Like amateur people, play on the road. Everyone plays on the road cricket. There is no need of I'm a play myself. The road. All that you have to do is what? You have to see the ball, hit it. That's all you have to do. What is the big problem? See the ball, hit. This is cricket, roadside. But when you say that I want to become a cricketer, you can't say I will keep playing on the roadside and become a cricketer. No, it demands high degree of discipline and proper training. Oh, where is the discipline we will see next? First, have you gone through any sort of training? In training, they have to have a parameters, no? Fixed. Spin bowling, off spinner, this leg spinner, this pace, medium pace. There is a parameters, no? Who fixes all those parameters? Who will decide which will come for you better? I just remember someone told me this. Tendulkar went to cricket coaching to become a bowler, it seems. Thank God that coach recognized. What is this? Is this boy capable of? Given a choice to him, he would have been thinking of what? I want to become a fast bowler. See, that is what his thinking was. Ravi Shastri came into the Indian cricket team as a replacement bowler. Right. Went up to the position of an opening batsman. Now, how did he achieve all those things? There's someone who is there who could be coaching them. What is interesting about the training part, the coaching part is this failing. You fail, you make mistakes, you get on with the wrong practices. This is where it's very important. I keep telling people, don't start with practices. Practice is what? Repeating. If you are not having a proper training, if you go for practice, you will be practicing the wrong thing, and practice makes man perfect. If your practice is wrong, you become perfect in the wrong practice. Because practice is a passive exercise. It will not correct you. I keep doing the wrong thing again and again and again and again and again. I become expert in performing the wrong thing. That's all. I will never be doing the right thing. And that's what he says. The devotional path requires a high level of discipline and training to develop the divine traits. You have to falter. There has to be the willingness. Our problem is either we don't have those parameters, or else we stretch it to its highest degree. The moment you keep it to the highest degree, you will never start the practice itself. The training itself will not begin. The training itself doesn't happen. what is needed is the recognition of these things. That's why this 35 qualities he gives. 35 qualities enumerated to us to understand what is a bhakta. Bhakta is not what we understand as bhakta. It demands discipline. Discipline means there has to be a conscious effort put in to channelize the effort. Conscious understanding of the necessity to channelize my effort is called discipline. Training is what is actually practicing it. Understood is what? With the understanding what? I will make mistakes. When I am in the training period, I will make mistakes. The rules belong, given to a person who's in the training period is different from the person who is trained. Always we will look at people who are trained. Hanuman trained already. Mirabai trained already. You see, Prahalada trained already. They are already masters, experts. The way they function, the way they express, the way they go about bhakti is totally different. Like imagine some of you who have this habit of writing, because we have to ask now these days, because you have forgotten this writing. When you take notes, as I speak, you just keep taking notes. As I read, you take notes. As I speak, you take notes. How do you write? You just write. You just take the pen, paper, keep it, pen moves. That's all you do. Whereas, when you started learning to write, what did that Mallika teacher tell you? Keep a finger. Every word, you have to keep a finger. You have to keep a finger. You have to keep a finger. Without keeping that finger, you cannot write. She will never allow. Keep a finger. I will not speak in the class. Right? Imposition. I will not speak in the class. I will not speak in the class. How you have to write? I, finger, will, finger, not, finger. Now, when you write, do you keep finger every time? No. Why? Now, the child who sees you writing will argue what? One rule for you, one rule for me, is it? There's no equality in this world. There is partiality. You people are not treating me equal. The declaration, Union Declaration says what? Everybody is equal. So everybody should be treated equally. Everybody should do same thing. Therefore, what I am also going to do. This is what I spoke. That is why my handwriting is like this today. I myself can't read what I have written. After 6 months, if I take down my own notes, I wonder, I have to guess. I think I must have meant only this. Why? Rules are all different. When you are in the training, it's different. After you are trained, it's different. When you are in the training, you must have this understanding. Accept that possibility of fall. You will falter. You will do the wrong things. You will be practicing in the wrong way. You have to accept that fact. The problem is we cannot accept the fact that I can be faltered. Since you cannot accept the fact that you cannot be faltering, what sort of a practices you will take up? You will take up the practices which is known. All that you have to do is what? Devotion means what? Going to the temple and breaking coconut. I keep going to the mosque, coming back. 5 times I do. Therefore what? I'm a bhakta. Every Sunday service I go. Therefore how? I am a bhakta. That's all it is. Therefore we all think what? But then the problem is what? We don't experience the life that is experienced by a bhakta. We don't live our life as bhaktas. Therefore, we think what? Something wrong with them. You see, this is where the whole thing goes off. That's why he says, get the understanding that Bhakti Yoga practicing demands discipline and it demands training. Whatever the training is, we are not saying, this is a particular training that you have to do and all those things. Okay. One of the, finest, easiest one they say in terms of bhakti is through music. That's the, easiest one. That's what Krishna himself says in this Bhagavatam. He says, where can I find? Asks Narada. How do we locate you? Where do we locate you? To which he says, you can't locate me in Vaikuntha. Don't search for me in Vaikuntha. Don't search for me in the yogi's heart also. Don't search for me there. I am not there. I am not in Vaikuntha. I am not there. Then where are you? Says, I am in the place where my devotees sing my praise. Aham vasami vaikunte. Ayogi hridaye nacha. Yes. Don't see me there. Don't search for me there. Don't search for me inside also. I'm neither outside nor inside. Then where are you, man? Yes. Madbhakta yatra gayanti. Tatra drishtami narada. There I stand. Where my devotees sing my praise. That's why music is given as one of the expression. Classical music here. The Carnatic classic, we say, is the best in that. Why? Because you take all the songs there, those 3 greats of Carnatic music. All 3 of them, all their songs. Tyagaraja has written 24,000 songs, they say. It is not available with us. We have only about 2,000 songs only available for us. 24,000 songs he had sung with music. All what's it? Only one bhavana, bhakti. Muthuswami Dikshidhar, same thing. Shyama Sastri, same thing. Papanasam Sivan, you take, same thing. Now you come to Karnataka. Here also, what is it, sir? Only bhakti. All bhakti rasa only. There is no other thing. Those songs itself will trigger it. Trigger that thing. So we say the training. So bhakti training starts with what's a music training first. Music training is well. That doesn't mean, suppose if you become a great musician, will you get this automatic? That will not happen. It's not necessary. But this becomes, it facilitates that feeling of devotion. Music is one of the best one. And Chaitanya goes one step ahead. He says, Kirtanam should go along with Nartanam, he says. Along with dance. You will find a lot of people who are bathroom singers, but hardly you'll find bathroom dancers. Don't try it. You trip and fall, you'll become a big problem. Bathroom dancers are not much. Singing also, we have seen people who can, humming, singing. It's quite possible. People, but Nartanam is one step above, he says. Chaitanya. Why is it? Nartanam is where you lose your body conscious. That's the expression. That doesn't mean all Nartanams are all, lost body conscious. It's not that case. I'm not saying immediately you have to learn a dance or learn music. There's no necessity. It's so natural. Naturally, that happens. Where a person loses himself. Where what is the outcome of that music is dance. This Nartanam comes along with that Kirtan. You need to develop this, means you have to do. Now, our problem will be this. This is what training problem is. Sir, bhakti, you say, is that. What is bhakti? Bhakti is surrender. Bhakti is this, that, and all we explain. Now you are saying music, dance. What is the connection? This is what the problem is. That's all I'm explaining. You see, that when he says you demands high level of discipline and training, it is so difficult for us to establish the link between things. Between what are you supposed to do there, the ground, and what is the coach is asking you to do in the nets. Why you have to, you see that, the training given to those people. Sideways, they ask them to run. I say, why do you have to run sideways? Right? In football, there is a necessity, that too only for the goalie. Right? Other people don't move sideways. Like, crabs, they keep moving. They keep running up and down. I say, why are they running sideways? No, that's a message. Now, in the cricket match, bowler is running front. Batsman is also running front and back only. Up and down only, they keep running. To catch the ball, how many of you have seen the fielder is going sideways and catching? You can take only 2 steps maximum, not more than that. Then why they have to do? What is the connection? You see, there's no connection. Directly, you can't establish a link between that particular thing and the match. But training means what? Means this. You would be asked to do things which are all unconnected apparently. It's an apparent disconnect, which you can't establish a direct cause and effect relationship. See, but you need that for completely performing whatever you're supposed to do there. That training, when it comes to bhakti, hardly we recognize, hardly we understand. That's why it's a very important line. Yes. The devotional path. I'm reading from my book, page number 215, second paragraph, last line. The devotional path requires a high level of discipline and training to develop the divine traits. So you need to understand this and then go about it. Now, continuing, the real and earnest part of devotion is seen in the annihilation of the ego, self-effacement. A true devotee considers himself a spoke in the wheel of life, surrenders his individuality to the totality, to the general plan of nature, recognizes and feels the divinity in and out, is giving the gist of devotion here. Devotion and love the same emotion, differing in direction, not in nature. When a feeling of affection, fondness is directed to your equals or lower beings or objects, it's called love. The same directed towards the higher is known as devotion. Love your friend, your child, your pet, but you are devoted to your parents, Guru, God. Therefore, one cannot claim to have devotion to God if he has no love for his fellow beings. This idea has been well captured by James Henry Lee Hunt in his poem, Abu Ben Adam. The poem narrates Abu Ben Adam's encounter with an angel in his dream. Abu dreamed one night that he saw an angel writing in a book of gold. Abu asked the angel as to what it was writing. The angel replied that it was the names of those who love God. Abu inquired if his name was in that list. The angel replied it was not so. Then Abu carefully implored the angel to put his name down as one who loves his fellow men. The angel wrote and vanished. The next night, it returned to show the names of all those whom God really loved. And the list had Abu Ben Adam's name right on top. The poem. Abu Ben Adam. Abu Ben Adam, may his strength increase, awoke one night from a deep dream of peace, and saw within the moonlight in his room, making it rich and like lily in bloom, an angel writing in a book of gold. Exceeding peace had made Ben Adam bold, and to the presence in the room he said, "What writest thou?" The vision raised its head, and with a look made of all sweet accord answered, "The names of those who love the Lord." "And is mine one?" said Abu. "Nay, not so," replied the angel. Abu spoke more low, but cheerly still, and said, "I pray thee, then write me as one that loves his fellow men." The angel wrote and vanished. The next night it came again with a great awakening light, and showed the names of whom love of God had blessed. And lo, Ben Adam's name led all the rest. James Henry Lee Hunt. Now, this is the expression of love. Devotion and love are one and the same thing. There is no difference. It's the same emotion. The emotion is one, one. But the direction only differs. When the affection of yours were to be flowing towards the equals or the lower, that is called love. Same affection or fondness were to be moving towards someone, something higher than you, that's called devotion. So when a person says, "I have X devotion," it goes without saying he has X love also. In fact, the first quality we saw, that hates no being, what Krishna gave, the list of 35 qualities of the Bhakta, the first quality, the same quality is what James Henry is also explaining here. He is also explaining the same emotion only, same quality of loving all beings. You can say that I have devotion to God, but no love towards fellow being. Then the love, that the devotion that you are claiming is false. It's a false claim. So how can you know the strength of your devotion? All that you have to do is what? You just have to look into the love and affection that you have towards, the fondness, affection that you are experiencing with reference to the fellow beings. No point in saying I'm pouring all my affection to that God. I am so much affectionate towards God. So much of fondness I have towards the deity. My Ishta Devata. I do this to that Ishta Devata, I do this. All that you can claim, but that doesn't testify. The test is what? It is the love that you can experience with reference to your fellow beings. Now the question we ask is, what is the proof of your love towards your fellow beings? You can say, I love fellow beings, correct? I love people, sir. I love everyone. Okay. What is the proof of your love? Next question we ask is this. Say, okay, the proof of devotion is proof of love. Now the question is, what is the proof of love? Don't say proof of devotion. See, what is this? That A is equal to B, B is equal to A. That doesn't work here. Right? Here we go a little deeper. When your love is, we saw in the last class, I just gave an indication there. When your love is not mixed up, polluted with selfishness. Now, today, your fondness, the affection that you are experiencing towards people around you is mixed with, polluted with selfishness. The discipline that you are talking about, you need a training. Training is what, sir? The concerted effort that you got to put in to delete that selfishness from your fondness, from your affection. To remove the selfishness out of affection that you are experiencing towards people around you is the real effort of Bhakti Yoga. That's what he's explaining, in effect. In gist, if you want. So what is he saying? All this paragraph, about 3 paragraphs are there. These 3 paragraphs, what is he saying? He says, he gave those qualities. Then he said it needs discipline and training. What is the discipline and training needed? What is the effort that you have to put in? The effort is to delete that selfishness out of it. What is a proof of removal of selfishness out of my affection? Selfishness. Your affection, fondness, love experienced by you, delete selfishness out of it. Remove selfishness from it. Affection minus selfishness. That is the love that you are experiencing. That will be the true love towards your fellow beings, fellow men. When you have that love, what is the classic expression of love? The classic expression of love is spontaneous service and sacrifice. There is a spontaneity to your service and sacrifice towards the loved ones. Now, what I mean by spontaneous is, to our eyes, it will look like he is sacrificing his servings. To his eyes, it will look like what? Are we supposed to do that? No. Like, example I'll give you. That doesn't mean there is love. I'm just giving this example only for that one facet. Remember this. Okay. How the parent feel towards their child. For an outsider, it will look like what? They're doing great sacrifice. Right? Mother is sacrificing for the child. Mother is not eating the pizza. She gives the pizza to the child instead of she eating. What a great sacrifice. Correct. From our eyes, it will look like sacrifice. Why? Because we will not give. But she gives. And it will look like what? What a great thing. But she says what? As mother, what am I supposed to do? As father, what am I supposed to do? Are we not supposed to be doing this? So, a devotee will feel what? When he is serving God, he feels what? His internal thinking is what? He doesn't have that sense that I am sacrificing, I am serving the Lord. In fact, he will feel so grateful that the Lord is given him an opportunity to serve. He will not say that I am doing so much to you. No. Not like our parents fighting. So much I have done to you. What have you done to me? Or discussing in terms of putting me in old age home. And the son says what? What did you do? You sent me to boarding school. No. He says. Actual case in one of the house. And the boy gave that reply, the parent could not digest it. And they came, crying. Said, sir, my son is saying like this now. When we asked, why are you putting us in, and that boy says, you put me in boarding school. No. We did it only for his good. Now today he is so big. He has learned all this. All this we did only for his goodness. And that fellow says, and he says exactly the same thing. What? I am also doing what is good for you. Why? You need people of your age around you. You can't sit in my house. I can't have a conversation with you. So you need conversation with people of what time? Indira Gandhi period, Nehru period is what you want to discuss. Now today you can't be discussing what is happening now. You have to discuss what happened then. So sit with your fellows and you keep talking. Good for you, he says. Same argument given by you. What we did, what is good for you, is the same argument that boy also gives. I'm doing what is good for you. I was so disappointed. No, this is what the difference is. Remember, service, that spontaneity in service is the hallmark expression of a devotee. Now, immediately don't say, I will serve only the deity. That's all. If you are not, of that deity, then forget it. Then you will not be accepted. Or you also should be the fellow deity, fellow devotee of the deity. Okay, I will serve. Who I will serve? I will serve that God, or you should be devotee of that God. Suppose if that fellow says, no, I am devotee of the other God, out. If I say, I am also devotee of Krishna, then service will be rendered to you. Suppose if that fellow were to say, no, I am devotee of Shiva, thrown out. That is not service, please. That is not, spontaneous service. That's why he says, annihilation of ego, he says. What is the first thing? The hallmark. The real and earnest part of devotion is seen in the annihilation of ego. That effacement of ego. Your effort should be towards what? not to develop the particular qualities. How not to hate any being, that's not your training. Training is what? Annihilate ego. Annihilation of ego is your effort. That is the training you have to go through. That annihilation of ego will manifest as what? Will express, will be experienced internally by you as bhakti, externally manifest as service, sacrifice. I hope you're all with me. Right? What is the flow? I'm just saying. The idea is developing like this. It says how bhakti finds its expression. You surrender, it says. A true devotee considers himself a spoke in the wheel of life. Surrenders his individuality to the totality. That surrender, meaning there is no independent will. That's the meaning of surrender. What's the meaning of surrender? Surrender means there is no independent will of my own. It's the totality. It's the totality that he experienced. Now, immediately you need to probe into these ideas. Now, you got to think on every aspect of all this. What is the meaning of totality there? What is totality? He says, no, yes, surrenders his individuality to the totality. What is totality? Right. Means the world. World means what? I surrender to the world. What is the meaning of that? World, remember how we posited the possibility of God. Go back to the first point. Where we got that idea of the world governor. Because we saw orderliness in the world. There is orderliness. Everything functions so meticulously. This cause and effect relationship is going perfect. Such perfect orderliness cannot exist without a supervisor, without a government. So when we say, I surrender to the totality, totality is what? The orderliness in the world. What is orderliness? The divine law of karma. You surrender his individuality to the totality. My individuality means my individual will, my wishes, my will, I keep aside. That's called surrender. When you surrender to someone, that means I suspend my individual thinking, I suspend my idea and subscribe to your idea. I suspend my will and your will becomes my will. Your wish becomes my wish. This suspension is what is referred as surrenders his individuality. Means his individual will is sacrificed, surrendered to the divine law of life. What is the divine law of life? The divine law of life is the teachings of scriptures. The scriptures, teachings of masters. That teaches us the laws of life. Various laws were taught. So you surrender to that law. You surrender to the plan. You surrender to the divine law of life, to the scriptures. That surrendering, when it happens, There you have devotion. How does that devotion manifest? That devotion will manifest as feeling of oneness with the fellow beings. As a result of that feeling, you will be willing to serve, sacrifice. It's a maddening one. Love is maddening. One maddening experience of love says, you are mad for what? You are mad to surrender, to serve. Love means that. We want others to certify to me. I want certificate from people. Did I serve well? Yeah, correct. That's why in the olden, in our system, there is no graduation day and all that in the Gurukula. Now we see graduation day is there for kindergarten. Kindergarten graduation day. I say, like, LKG to UKG, the fellow goes. Automatic that is. Either you go for exam or you don't go for exam, automatic pass. Right? And graduation day. These fellows have studied the Vedas 24/7, they study. For 12 years, 16 years along, they study. What certificate they was given to this fellow? Dronacharya got the certificate from Bharadwajan. And then for higher education, he went to Parsurama, master's degree from Parsurama. Nothing of that sort. They just go, learn, come out. Their learning is their certificate. That's it. No need of certificates being given. Now, today, we want certificates from others. That's what someone said beautifully. He said, someone asked, this man, education is very expensive these days. He said, no. Education is never expensive. Certificates are expensive. If I want certificate, then it is expensive. Then you have to pay. Education is not. Otherwise, so many of them have learned, been thrown out of schools, and colleges have changed the face of earth. Humanity's fate they have changed with their knowledge, with their contribution, with their education. Education is not this. Similarly, we want certificate from people. I am good. Why? Why you want others to certify you are a good person? Yeah, you did good. Why? Because essentially you don't believe you are good. So to fill the gap, what you need someone else to come and say, you are a very good person. So 10 people say you are a good person, then I believe. Correct. 10 people are saying no, therefore I must be good. In between, one fellow there to say, what nonsense. Enough. All the 10 will go out of window. That one fellow who said nonsense, no, only that will stand. What we have to do then, like, serve. It expresses as service. So what is not bhakti? Bhakti is not your fanatical attachment to a particular deity. Wishing that deity will fulfill all your wishes. And no deity will fulfill your wishes. And you get angry with those deities after a point. That is not bhakti. It is not getting attached to a particular deity. It is not just, prayers, wrong understanding. Then he gave, what is the right bhakti? Bhakti means your intellect understanding its limitation and mind surrendering. When these two things happen, there is bhakti. Then how does that bhakti expresses? it has 35 different ways of expression. Not enough, please. You don't say only 35. 35 means so much of expression. With all those expressions, it comes in. And finally, he says how it culminates. What is the essential part of it is bhakti and love, one and the same thing. So your strength of your devotion is the strength of your love. The strength of your love is the strength of your ability to serve, sacrifice. So if you are not able to serve and sacrifice, there's no love. When there is no love, there's no devotion. So you need to develop that bhakti. Now to develop that bhakti, what you have to do? Go back to the beginning. Start afresh again. Try to understand what is bhakti, what is not bhakti, where all you are going wrong. This effort of discipline and training, a conscious effort you got to put in. Consciously you got to work on developing those qualities. With the understanding that in any training, there is always a possibility of falling. And never keep those ideals far-fetched. Don't take them to the absolute. You see, take them to the next level. Keep your goals very relative, the tasks. Your target should be realistic. And then step it up, step up, step up. First, learn to write the alphabets, capital letter, small letter, capital letter, small letter. And then what you have to do, sir, then start learning cursive. Then start learning 2 words, 3-letter words, 4-letter words, 5-letter words, and then start writing the sentences with 4 lines. Then you can write with single line. Then you can write plain paper. You straight away start writing from the plain paper, nothing will come. Like my father would say, Kodi Kirkan. He'll say, I don't know. If you see the footprints of, the chicken, it'll be like that. There's no system at all there. So the discipline needs that. Remember, bhakti demands high degree of discipline and training. In which direction your training should be is what he has given now. The direction is not towards development of devotion. The direction is to develop love. In love, what you have to do, don't start working with reference to how to love people. No. In your fondness, in your affection, try to delete selfishness out of it. Your effort is to remove selfishness out of your affection, which will eventually slowly come out as service and sacrifice. To that extent, you can love. Thanks to Abu Ben Adam. May his tribe increase. Let there be more people with a quality like that of Ben Adam. With this, we conclude this topic of Bhakti Yoga. Because there are so many ideas are there now. If we go on explaining me, we go on explaining. Now we'll never be able to progress. To a good extent, we have covered the essential parts. So go through the portion carefully and start working with reference to this bhakti, how you have to cultivate bhakti in you.